Sing it, Frankie.
Hey friends, we're off here again with the Louisville ProActivist report. Really excited because I've got a really cool show for you all today. This is part 2 of a doubleheader. So who I have with me today, the 502 Livestreamers. So let me get them on camera here for you all. Here we go. From left to right, we got Jared Riot, Summer Dickerson, Maxwell Mitchell, Tara Bassett. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Rolf.
If you all haven't watched it already, like I said, this is part 2. The 502 Livestreamers just interviewed Shamika Parrish-Wright. So after this is over, go check that out on one of their mini pages, or all of their pages, you know, whatever you want to do. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, who just kind of wants to tell me about how 502 Livestreamers came about?
Go ahead, Tara. You want me to? We kind of came together collectively at the protests starting in May of last year as more of a, I think, a security thing, because, you know, every mainstream media team had security with guns, and we were all out here by ourselves, and we just kind of were attracted to each other for the sole purpose of providing each other's a little bit of eyes on our backs. And we also recognized that this was going to be a massive project to live stream these protests, and we knew that we all were not going to be able to be out all the time. So it turned out that we kind of divided it up and took shifts, and, you know, some of us were at some events and things that were happening on the other side of town, some of us were there, and, you know, mostly it was just because we shared a common passion, I think, and that was to amplify the voices of people who really needed to be amplified and were not being.
So again, I'm here with the 502 Livestreamers. Share this out. So I just want to get a little bit about your background, kind of your inspiration, like how you got into activism, independent media. I guess I'll just kind of go left to right here, start with Jared. So yeah, how did you kind of get involved in activism and get to toting a camera?
I mean, at a young age, I was, you know, slightly involved with activism, handing out pamphlets, you know, kind of things like that. Might have been a little more along the lines of conspiracy theory, actually, than civil rights activism, but always kind of had that passion. I took it into music promotion. I've been a music promoter for, you know, 17, 18 years. That's really what I've done. So, I mean, the way that I found myself with a camera was, you know, night 2, I was down here with a group of medics, and shit hit the fan, you know, stuff was going crazy. And I realized, you know, I had a platform at that time with about 5,000 followers, and it was because of music promotion. So, you know, platform's a platform. And I went live, and I was live for, I think, like 15, 20 minutes that first night. And then a week later, you know, I was live for 4 hours straight. You know, I had to come back. It was just so much, and experiencing so much with LMPD, you know, it drove me to come back and, you know, help out in any capacity that I could. So, man, it was really kind of by accident that I ended up being independent media.
Yeah. Understandable. And I realized I got a little bit ahead of myself and didn't actually introduce you all individually, so my bad, but let me go ahead and do this. This is Jared Riot right here, Summer Dickerson, Maxwell, Tara Bassett. So what about you, Summer? How'd you get involved in all of this?
So I got into it because I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and when I got out of everything and kind of turned my life around, I had a lot of things to say, and I wanted people to hear, you know, all the stuff that was going on. And so I kind of got into activism that way. As far as live streaming goes, I was kind of live streaming a little bit just like on a personal level, nothing on a big scale. And then when we came down here, because I've been in different protests and stuff like that, I kind of knew it was kind of important because things could go left. And so it was kind of important to show our story, you know, and so I just wanted to show what was going on down here. And then I kind of knew everybody a little bit, and we just kind of got into a group together. And actually, I was just saying to them, I would have never thought like things would have came the way it did with the 502 Livestreamers. It's really blossomed. We were able to show so much during the protest, and not only that, but take it to the community as well. And so it's, I don't know, it's been pretty cool.
Nice. All right, Maxwell, you're up.
So for me, how it was is I've been involved in different protest die-ins for years, right? I remember years ago at U of L there was a die-in. I had never heard of a die-in back then, but you know, we were protesting for the same reasons we were protesting since May 28, 2020, right? And so, you know, boom, there we go. And so since then, you know, seeing these protests happening around this country, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, I got to get over here. But I just couldn't, you know, pockets weren't so heavy. I needed money. That brought me to Ferguson, you know, Michael Brown being shot by Darren Wilson. And, you know, it was with that case I realized that it's much more than on the ground, right? Because I learned in the court case, there was this article in news coverage about Kathy Elizabeth handing jurors this unconstitutional document, pretty much getting Darren Wilson a get out of jail free card, and that's how it was. And so I knew that, like, if I were to ever go into a protest, I would also want to be learning about things, due process, people's names, positions, what we can do on a different layer, coupled with the protesting. And then boom, May 28th. Oh my gosh, find out this is going in their own city. No excuse now. Get on my bicycle, ride downtown. You know, and before COVID-19 quarantine, I had been hosting 4 events a month, right? 2 poetry slams, 2 open mics, and involved in music interviews, poetry interviews. And so pulling out my phone and going live was not foreign to me. You know, it's kind of muscle memory. And then I just kept doing it. And then while I was live, you know, trying to be of service to people on the street, you know, getting them milk. I came with cloths, trying to get people's eyes and, you know, cover their mouths with milk to get all that, somebody help me here, tear gas out of the throat. I remember there was this cloud of tear gas once, and I saw someone lying down, so I was like, ah! Got him out of it, and then, but still got in my throat, you know, take that cloth, and it goes away instantaneously. But anyway, yeah, and then since then, just learning all that I can, and it's been, you know, still haven't stopped, still not over, still, you know, things haven't slowed down. They look different, but, you know, it's only natural, it's only understandable that they look different. But, yeah.
All right, Tara, so what's your story?
On my first protest, I was in a stroller, and my sisters were pushing me in the park blocks of Portland State University during the Vietnam War.
Now that's hardcore, I just want to point that out.
So I say it honestly when I say I've been protesting since I was barely walking, and I've always been very political. I also came down here on May the 29th, 30th, I think it was Saturday, so it was the 30th, after live streaming from the television set as I was out of town the first 2 nights, and I was getting, you know, my feed for my own live stream from WHAS, watching Shane McAllister out here. And I came down here to survey the damage done, and I realized the damage was to the people, not to the property. And that's what really hooked me the first day, was talking and hearing, mostly listening to people just share their experience, share what it was like to live west of 9th Street, share what it was like to be a black person in Louisville. Just listening to those stories just impacted me in such a profound way that I started to come back, and I came back every day. I mean, for the most part of last year, we were here at the square, really from morning till night, almost every single day. And the thousands of hours of live streams that have accumulated are very strong evidence of that. And what I'm most proud about, and what I want to also mention, is there are 4 other 502 live streamers who are not with us right now. Shay Wolfick, who has always been the voice of Brianna for us, who is a media mogul of her own and who has many different media interests and has shot with us as a 502 live streamer. John Cherry, who is now an internationally known photographer for Getty, who has just made his mark this last year and does such beautiful photography, recently featured on the cover of Leo. He just shot this story with Police Chief Erica Shields, which was interesting. And Antonio T. Taylor, of course, who has been appointed to the CRAB, the Citizens Review Advisory Board for LNPD, which was a very interesting process as well, and we were grateful to be able to amplify his voice through that. And Jason Downey, who said to us at some point that one day I'm just going to put my camera back in my pocket and go home. And he did. But we love him. He was a very vibrant voice of live stream protesting, and just was hilarious and wonderful, and we love him. And we value all of our other 502 live streamer friends and all the other live streamers, including you, Rolf, who have been beside us through this amazing journey of the last year and a half. And we continue the work that we've been doing. The 4 of us do a lot of stuff together. I drag them out all the time to do stuff, animal rescue stuff, and
She does.
and homeless outreach stuff, and everything that we do that's of interest to us. I try to get my friends to become a part of, and so it's a natural thing that my 502 family would participate in a lot of those fun things too. So we try to support each other. Of course, Maxwell does a million different things, music, and he's had me play the piano and sing on some of his things, which was horrible. Summer's, of course, a fabulous anti-human trafficking worker and advocate. Riot Heart's got his own nonprofit working to improve the city through the various things that he does. So, we just keep going, as Travis said. We've got another important anniversary coming up here in November. It's going to be very hard for all of us, but we just keep going.
I like that you're so good at this that you literally answered my next question before I was going to ask it, and that was just about the other members. So again, I'm here with the 502 live streamers at my favorite place in Justice Square. So we're going to talk about independent media and just the state of the media here in just a moment. But before we do that, I just want to stick with you all a little bit more and just kind of talk about what you're working on now, the different projects. I know you kind of brought that up there a little bit, so we'll just go ahead and go with that. And I guess we'll just start with you, Tara. What do you have going on right now?
Well, I will defer to Maxwell because he's got a lot of things going on.
All right.
Especially Tanisha Chappelle.
There it is. I'll transition from that, and I've really been focused on this case with Tanisha Chappelle. Basically, everything I've been learning while protesting and on and off the camera, and how to be there for the families who have lost someone in such a way, and asking myself, what could I be doing next? What else could I be doing? What does live streaming look like? And being known as a live streamer, as I tell people, I was a protester first, right? That's the way it always is, protesting, live streaming. That was kind of the label I'd always voice to people when people would ask, what are you? I'm black, but I'm a protesting live streamer, right? And so the protesting comes out of me first before the live streaming. But I understand that, labels happen naturally from people's eyes, whatever they want to label you. But, as it relates to Tanisha Chappelle's case, trying to figure out what happened and the best I can. So, I've been going back and forth to that county, Jackson County, Indiana, helping the family with whatever they need. I'm really heavy into video editing a lot with Adobe software. So, I make these, I always thought to myself, the mother of Tanisha Chappelle often said online, she feels like Tanisha's name wasn't getting out there. So, what can I do to do that? So I wanted to put a video together to, sort of pull at heartstrings for the community and outside of the community so they can hear this case, here in Louisville and outside of Louisville here, who is Tanisha Chappelle? Well, let me tell you, as best I can anyway, who she is and what I've learned and how this happened, when the people found out how it happened, how she died. It's heinous, so now we got to figure out what's going on in this jail, what's going on in this jail, what's going on in jail systems across the country. But before we get to across the country, there's jail systems we can investigate and get into here that's right next to us. That being LMPD and 59 minutes away in Jackson County.
20 ODs in one day.
20 ODs in one day, indeed.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't even have words for that.
Now I got flies flying around.
All right, Summer.
As a matter of fact, Maxwell's speaking tonight at an event about Tanisha Chappelle, which is pretty cool.
Do you want to plug that real quick?
That I do not, and but yeah, we're trying to figure out more and more what we can do, and yeah.
All right.
It's top secret.
What was the question again?
Just tell us about any projects you have going on right now.
I'm always I run a nonprofit called Women of the Well Ministries, and we help women come out of human trafficking and domestic violence. And October is Domestic Violence Month, so this month I will be planning a gathering down here at 6th and Jefferson, just to kind of make space for victims and let their voices be heard, and the survivors that to speak and just give other people hope. Also, I'm big into the homeless outreach stuff that we have here in our city going on, and so of course just working with different groups and things like that so we can bring more things to our most vulnerable population here in the city. It was really awesome is because here lately we've been going out, we've been able to take resources with us. So counselors, mental health, drug rehabilitation, things like that, we're able to meet them where they're at instead of expecting them to go and get the resources, right? And that was something we all talked about in 2020. We're like, what are things that we can do better to be able to help our community? And we're asking, you know, some of the most vulnerable people in our community to jump through all these hoops, and that's just not sustainable to them or any of us, right? So it's just really nice to be able to meet people where they're at and be able to help them with that. And then, of course, also just highlighting different things in the community that's going on, you know, all over, because I think that we have a lot, you know, we're going through a really tough time as a community, and we have been for last year, you know, and so something that I think we all agree on, that it's very important to show the good things that we do have going on, you know. We have some amazing youth here that are doing something, young prodigies. I'm going to throw them out there because that's Antonio's baby, and I can't be on here talking about stuff without bringing his baby up. But those kids are amazing, you know, and so those are different things that we're just trying to highlight all kinds of good things that are happening, because we can get so wrapped up in all the negative and all the things that we need to fix, and God knows we have a list of them. But, you know, let's knock little things down at a time and highlight those things. So I think that's something that I've been trying to do. And then just, you know, as always, trying to make space for women. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, keep me posted on that event down here.
I will. I will have the date out probably by tomorrow. You know me, I put stuff together. I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing. So I will definitely have that date out soon. Because I think it's important. Domestic violence, you know, we have a pandemic and stuff going on, and domestic violence is very, very, very real and very, very big, right? You know, all the time, really. But right now, it's really hard. And so I always want to, you know, give space to where people can know that they can get resources and know that they are believed, and, you know, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
All right, and for anybody not familiar with Young Prodigies, check out my Wear Orange gun violence walk video from, I believe, over the summer. And they performed on there, and it was really good. So
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, if you want to check them out, that's a good place to see it.
The Real Young Prodigies were also responsible for helping get the Crown Act passed at several different levels. So really, really incredible young individual.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Our future, boy.
Future's bright, you know.
Yes.
So Jared, why don't you tell us about your projects you have going on?
Yeah.
No, that was
fundraiser one. That was really fun.
The outreach, or not the where you bring us all together.
See,
It's pretty awesome.
Riot Heart as a non-profit at the moment is really mostly just trying to navigate the politics and accounting of being a non-profit. I don't say I have any active projects per se at the moment because of that, because my hands are kind of full. But one of the other board of directors is working on potentially a new domestic violence advocacy group that I can't really discuss any details of yet, but that is something to potentially look forward to. That would end up probably being a fiscal sponsorship and them developing into their own organization, but you know, that's neither here nor there. You know, aside from that, you know, just trying to focus on improving coverage as much as possible, because, like, you know, that's what put me here, gave me the platform that I have, is keeping eyes on the people. So yeah, you know, we're working on trying to figure out if anybody wants to do some writing for us, so we can do some, you know, written articles on a regular basis. You know, maybe some other contributors that would like to do live footage. But you know, if we can get to a position of being I guess better structured, more similarly to mainstream media, that's kind of a goal that we're going for. You know, obviously it'll still be an unbiased approach, but yeah, I mean, my biggest project at the moment is structuring, unfortunately.
Let me ask you about, it's been a few months now, but yeah, you did a fundraising event at the Mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about that. How'd that come about, and are you going to be doing anything else like that in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, many years I've been a music promoter and an events coordinator. Started off working on the International Barbecue Festival in Owensboro, Kentucky, that draws 80,000 people a year. You know, I was doing that at 18. So putting together events is my forte. It's what I'm good at. So we are absolutely going to be doing more events like that. The idea was to Bye, Maxwell.
Okay.
Love you.
No
Have a
worries.
good night, bud.
The idea behind it was to network some nonprofits, because there's maybe not a lot of people know this, but Louisville's got one of the highest nonprofits per capita in the United States. There's just excuse my language, fuckload
Yes.
of nonprofits in Louisville. So it was actually a struggle for me to decide whether we were going to go nonprofit or be fiscally sponsored, but we decided on nonprofit. But because of that, there's a lot of nonprofits that do the same work that don't talk to each other, and that's unfortunate. So the idea was to get some of those nonprofits together, get some networking going. So yeah, we had an event at the Mammoth, had I think 6 or 7 different nonprofits that came out, set up booths. Women in the Well was one of them. I believe, did you have some of the puppy
Yep.
pack stuff set up too?
I'm not a nonprofit.
Not a nonprofit,
had
but
it.
Tar had some puppy pack stuff set up too. So yeah, that's definitely some more of the events that we're going to be trying to do in the future. Maybe like some telethon type things, so we could just like pull some money and then distribute out. But the whole idea is to just try to find supporters and funding for these nonprofits that are out here doing the work that don't always get that recognition. So Riot Heart is trying to network people and trying to get their own shit together.
Like I said before, keep me posted on that stuff, and if I can help out, just let me know.
Yep, absolutely, man. Thank you.
Tara, do you want to talk about Puppy Pack real quick?
Yeah, I'll talk about that real quick because it's just such an important part of my life. There's a definite link between domestic violence and animal abuse. So one of the most important things to know is I don't just go catch dogs. I look for situations where there is animal abuse. I pull animals out of houses as summer pulls women out of houses, and we meet in the middle and find what we can help, because if you find animal abuse, you're almost always going to find domestic violence and vice versa. So that's one of the major things that I really try to work on, is finding those situations where something is happening to a creature of God, whatever that creature may be, and try to resolve it, try to find some solution to it. So and I drag these two mostly with me on things like, the Wildebeers at the Kentucky State Fair, and, the animals that are being abused elsewhere. And, we did a great interview with a woman who lost her special needs son's emotional support animal, who they are still looking for, Rowdy. And so, we just love to do things. And I've been streaming for years. I started streaming as soon as Facebook started streaming, and I was doing Periscope before that. So, it's just been a natural transition for me, but we are acting more in a capacity as a mainstream media collective of live streamers, because we've got press credentials. We actually are on a lot of mailing lists. We're getting notifications from a lot of organizations in town. We attend the mayor's COVID pressers and other things that he has going, just so we can notify the people who really have come to depend upon our streams. As you know, there are a lot of people who don't watch mainstream media. And the live streamers especially blew up during the protests, because it was a source of immediate on-the-ground information that was not necessarily available, and was maybe not being presented in the same way by...
Mainstream's catching up
now,
finally, this summer.
And Chad Mills
After we challenged him.
Chad Mills is responsible for the mainstream media in this town. That guy pulled his camera out and went live. He used to work for DRB. He's gone on to Tampa to grow his career. But man, I'll tell you, he
Can't say he marched with us per se, but he marched alongside us.
He sure
pretty
did.
much
It sure
the
felt
whole
like he was
time.
marching with us, though.
Yeah. For his sake,
Right,
I'm gonna
for his
say.
sake.
I'm not gonna say he was marching with
no,
us.
he marched alongside, but he stayed out.
He was a good voice for the people,
Yeah.
right? Like, I see it, and same thing like we do. We turn around a lot of stories. We've had that privilege to be able to do that because mainstream media or whoever decides to put a false narrative out, and we're like, oh no, we have that. So
We've actually got 16 hours worth of footage from that
It's like,
day.
here you-
None of that happened.
No, it did not. Let's fix that.
So that's just kind of like, our goal, I think, is to continue to amplify the causes in the city that are dear and near to our hearts, and that also are of interest to people who may have not really thought about watching live streams before, the Breonna Taylor protests took place, and really gathered a tremendous amount of interest in the whole concept of live streaming. So as independent media, we take our jobs very seriously, and we give a lot of consideration to, asking cogent questions and giving a fair shake to everybody who's involved. That's why we're doing this mayoral interview
Yeah.
series, because we wanted people who watch live streams to be able to watch and hear from each and every one of the, I think there are 8 candidates now. We've reached out to at least 8 people. So if anybody else is running for mayor, just let us know.
Please let us know.
We'll interview you too. But we've got 4 lined up already. Next week is Craig Greenberg. Following week is Tim Finley. And then November the 11th is Bill Diriff. So we've got 4 more that we haven't heard from yet, but we will. And we'll continue to bring you, the best and the brightest from the vantage point of our little telephone cameras. And just continue to, as I said, just keep going.
All right. Do y'all still have a few minutes to talk about state of media and stuff? Or
Sure.
y'all good?
Do you have to go?
No, I was gonna say one thing that I enjoy about our group, because with being a live streamer, you're on the front lines of everything, and things. I mean, it got a little, rough emotionally and and everything, And to be able to have our group, we were solid. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can say that our group really helped me a lot at, of different things that I went through, and just helping each other, just being there, having that emotional support, security, you know what I mean? Like every single thing. And so it's like, yeah, there's a group of us, and yeah, we pick our phones up and we do it, but it's so much more than just that. You know what I mean? We're family. We watch out for each other. We've really had each other's back mentally, physically, just financially. We've been there for each other, and so I'm really grateful for that, because I would have never thought when Tara put us all together, she's like, here, this is what we're doing. We're like, okay. Because, she's the boss. Tara and Jay. I'm just along for the ride.
And it was beautiful because it was like, it was mostly organic. Like we had all kind of started working and communicating with each other, and then Tara was just the one that kind of like quantified it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, we're a collective now. And we were like, yeah, you're right. Like, we've been doing it, we've been acting that way already, so you're right, we're absolutely a collective.
Let's make it official.
Yeah.
And, it's like they were saying, security, sanity, everything. When you were out here, like Tara said, the mainstream media would have a reporter, a camera guy, and then 2 security that were usually armed, that were following them around, and were usually pretty noticeably security, because they'd be wearing, Blue Lives Matter shirts and stuff, which seems weird.
My security finally told them, don't wear that no more.
Right. So they had their own security. We were all out here on our own. I came down here, I didn't know a whole lot of people. So I was basically out here alone, and having the rest of them to have my back, and so we could coordinate and cover as much as possible, and we could have 3 different angles of the same march, because there was 1,000 people in that march, and there's no way I could have filmed 1,000 people by myself. There's no way Summer could have filmed 1,000 people by herself. So we would communicate and make sure to spread out. Somebody's in the middle, somebody's in the front, somebody's in the back. Like, you want to see the front, hit Jason Downey's stream. You want to see the back, hit Summer's stream. You want to see the middle, hit Tara's stream. And it was really out of necessity, because mainstream wasn't doing it. They just weren't doing it. And part of that problem is that mainstream has to have, like a source that they have to use to quantify their story. A lot of time that source happens to be emergency services. So you're getting that information from EMS and fire. It's probably going to be accurate, because they don't really have to hide much. But LMPD, they got a lot to hide. So that information that they pass to mainstream media usually has a lot of holes in it. Mainstream media just takes it and reposts it verbatim. It's from LMPD, it's got to be true. It's not, and we proved that countless times last time. So like I said, mainstream media is catching back up to this brand new horizon of independent media that was forced by a pandemic last year.
I think one of the things that's been really cool too is our cooperative ventures with many of our mainstream media partners, because we have been asked numbers of times if they could use our live streams on mainstream, because either they weren't able to be out there, or they weren't at the same angle, or we were up in the shit. We were getting the close-up of whatever was happening, and it was
there was a period where mainstream weren't even allowed to be down here. Like their employers, the organizations said, y'all can't go down there. Like it's too dangerous. You're not even allowed down there.
Right.
There were reporters that wanted to sign waivers to come down to get footage and weren't allowed to. So, is that active suppression? I don't know. You decide.
Yeah, and that reminds me, early on, is the first week, they had no idea what to do, because I remember the one reporter, was live talking to studio guests, and they're like, who is that officer pointing that gun at? And it's directly at the camera, and it's like, who do you think that it's pointing at? You can see you're looking down the barrel of a gun right there.
Yeah, and I have to give big props to Katie Rust, who also was the first person to really amplify the 502 live streamers and did a great story on Wave, you know, which was tremendous because people really learned what we were doing and how we were doing it. You know, and to the people who were out those first 2 nights, I mean, especially Shay McAllister, you know, I was watching her just with my heart just pounding out of my chest, you know, as everything, the whole city was just exploding. And you know, and I knew as soon as I got back to town, I was like, I got to get down there. And Summer, of course, I had already known through outreach, but we ran into each other, and we spent a good portion of that Saturday here with Emmanuel, which was amazing.
And the Bungalow Boys, I did not know. So we came down like so that night. Everything happened the night before or whatever. And so of course I think a lot of people's instincts were to come down and see what was going on and come down and help if we needed to help clean or just just be there. And so we did that. We cleaned up a little bit of stuff, and then we came walking back up here. And me and Manuel's just kind of in our own little world. We're just marching. He's marching. I'm marching. We're both screaming. And then there's these guys there, and I didn't know who they were. Okay,
wearing Hawaiian shirts.
I didn't know. My dad wears Hawaiian shirts. I mean, like, you know what I mean? And he's not a bungalow dude or whatever I used to say.
Boogaloo down here supporting Kenneth Walker for the Second Amendment.
Well, actually, they were here just that day just to kind of see what was going on as well. I think, because we actually talked to them, and I took a picture with them, me and Emmanuel, and I still say that picture was dope. Because here's me and Emmanuel, like arm in arm, we got fist up, and they're behind us, right? So I posted on Facebook, I don't know any better, right? Like, I fight human trafficking. I know I know all the race groups now, but I got a lesson that day. I posted it, and I had a couple of my friends, activist friends, go, like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, why were you standing with those dudes? And I was like, I don't know, they seemed like they were all right. I had Emmanuel with me, we were good. I get home, my husband's like, babe, no, you can't do that. He's like, I was like, but they sounded like they were. He's like, yeah, that's what they do. They finesse you, and then they, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was just a lesson, you know, because I mean, I don't know all the. I mean, I know there's racism out there. I know that there's hate out there. I've experienced it. I've seen people experience it. I've seen crosses be burned in the yard and all kinds of different stuff. But it just seemed like in the last couple of years, all these groups started popping up. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I didn't know there was guys behind shirts, you know. So but that day was really good because I think that was like when we were like, hey, this is going to be a big thing, you know. I'd never imagined it being what it is, that's for sure. But yeah, Antonio was down here, you were down here. So yeah.
I knew the minute I asked, because I was live the whole time, so I was live streaming this whole friendship, blooming friendship that was occurring. But I knew the minute I said, what's your name? And he said Duncan Lemp, I knew it was all over.
Right,
that I knew who he was and what he was there for. But I think that just one of the, you know, we've been through so much together, and to build on what Summer and Riot both said, you know, we as a family, as a 502 live streamer family, I mean, we've literally made a commitment to ourselves as a group to have family dinners.
Yeah,
you know,
we do.
We'll find our secret little restaurants in the back rooms, and we'll, you know, get out and have dinner every month or so, and spend time. You know, we talk to each other on the phone. You know, she and I talk, Riot and I talk pretty much every day. And we work on each other's projects, and we support each other, and we're there for each other. But one of the things that I think people don't realize is the extreme danger that people in this entire process of protesting were in. Not only the black lives that were on the line, the white allies who were here to support them, the live streams and the mainstreams, and every citizen around them, because of these outside forces that were coming in to Louisville and creating havoc. You know, almost
FFA,
oh my goodness.
Almost every
even
incident.
to an extent, you know, in fact.
Yeah,
to an extent, until freedom.
Yeah.
You know.
Almost every outside group, almost every single incident where something bad happened, it was because of outside instigators. It was primarily not because of local protesters. And, you know, and we said that over and over again. You know, we don't know who that guy was. We'd never seen this person before. What was going on? And it was typically people who would drive in from another city, and we would say to those people, we don't protest the way you protest. You know, we don't live stream the way you live stream. We don't cover things the way you cover things. And we need you to stay, to take a step back and listen to the leaders here and the organizers here about how you're going to do your thing, and take a cue from us as to how, we live stream things, because God, you can get into all kinds of trouble if you don't.
Well,
Literally follow the local customs.
Right. Well, it's just about being accountability, right?
Yes.
So if you go to another city where they're protesting or whatever really they're doing, you know what I mean? And I think it was good because we would tell their live streamers, we'd be like, look, you need to chill just a little bit, you know what I mean? Or maybe you should go over here and do this, or maybe you should go check in with these people or whatever, and be able to help them too. And sometimes most of them were like, hey, yeah, that's awesome, and they would be like, man, you all really don't protest like everybody else.
Nope.
They're like, you guys are actually nice, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, because like we have a bigger picture, you know what I mean? Like, burning shit down and breaking shit was not what we wanted. We want justice. We want equality. We want not have to worry about any of our community members being shot down by police officers, or women being raped by police officers, or sexually assaulted by it, and so we really were trying to do our best, and so was the organizers and all that stuff, really to work together and really just keep the message of, no, we're not. I mean, because let's just be honest, if we wanted to burn shit down, we would have. We could have demolished this whole city if we wanted to. We had the number, we had the power, and all that. But that's not what we wanted. Right. We want justice. We want equality. Again, I'm just going to keep pounding that, and that's what I would tell people. And we would call people on their shit. If we seen people doing stuff that they had no business doing, we'd be like, stop that shit. You know what I mean? If a local wants to do something, okay, but no, you're not coming in here and messing my shit up.
Even some of the locals,
and we call them on their,
There was a couple months where there was a bunch of 14 to 16-year-olds that were out here at night hanging out and stuff, and they'd get a little rowdy, and so some of the OGs would have to step up and be like, yo, that's not what we're doing today. And
what's good about that is because out of those, look how many amazing relationships that came with the young people, and Bruce did the basketball, Breeway Warriors, and things like that. Yep. So I think that's a really good thing we had mentorships coming out of the protests. You know what I mean?
And so many nonprofits grew out of the protests.
No profits, organizations. Yep. So many. That was something I remember when we were all like, okay, we finally came to a point where. And I think there's a lot of different levels in protesting, right? I think that, you're going to protest, you're going to yell, you're going to scream, there's going to be all that. But also then there comes a point that part kind of dies off a little bit, which ours lasted for over a year. So, shout out to Louisville. But then we took the protest to the community. We started going into the community, and so many, Amber has... Chalk It Up, the Hope Bus. We have so many different organizations that were birthed out of 2020 protest, and are now, Amber, they specialize in childhood trauma and things like that. Those are things we need in our community. So, I can't speak on what other cities did because I don't know what other cities did, but I think that's, besides all of us standing in unity, I never in my life, and I've been to so many protests, even here, I've helped, with a bunch. But to see so many people coming, we had people coming from the Hollers, we had people coming from the Highlands, we had people coming from, it wasn't just
Anchorage.
It wasn't just people from the 9th Street Divide, you know what I mean?
We had people from Minneapolis and
100%.
Portland, Oregon, and
come in,
all the other protest cities around the city, you got to remember, Louisville was one of the hubs, one of the meccas. It was Louisville and Minneapolis were the two hot spots that everybody was watching. So there was a lot of out-of-towners that came in, and sometimes they were here on our side, and sometimes they were here to burn shit down, and we had to stop them.
Yeah. But I love all the good things that came out of it. I really do. Do we have a lot, work and all that good stuff? Yes, we do. But I just love the grassroots organizations, because for me, grassroots organizations is what keep all of our communities going. It really, really keeps everything together. And so I just absolutely loved that. So that was something I definitely wanted to highlight, because I think sometimes we could be like, we forget about that, and that's pretty dope to me, man, because it's affecting the community in so many beautiful ways. So
one of the dangers with interviewing other people who interview is that we do think of questions that you probably are going to ask in advance.
I've done that like 3 times already. You're just making my job easier.
Do you want to ask us another question, or would you like me to just anticipate it?
Let's these are not the droids you're looking for.
That's right. Let's get into independent media versus legacy media or mainstream media a little bit, and let me preface this a little bit. This is a soapbox I get on, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I like to analyze mainstream media a lot. people nowadays really lost trust in mainstream media. That's kind of why I started doing this. I think one of you mentioned that earlier. You kind of started that because you didn't like what was going on with mainstream media. But it's basically become like public relations anymore. You know, they talk about a lot of stuff from sources they can't name, things like that, and it's just not real journalism. And on top of that, it's dividing people. But I like to break down kind of the reasons that happens, and I won't take a long time to do this, but there's a few main things that happened that's kind of destroyed our mainstream media. One was getting rid of the fairness doctrine. And this was in the 80s. This meant that the news at that time kind of had to show both sides of the story. Once that went away, now you've got hyper-partisan channels that you know, basically cater to their audience, but it's not really news.
Pretty much all mainstream media has one side or the other, even though it's supposed to be unbiased.
Right.
Let's be honest.
And we're all biased,
As do live streamers.
but it's a problem when they pretend to be unbiased while they're being biased.
Right.
We're open about our bias.
right.
Yeah, that's me too.
Right.
I'm very biased, but everybody knows it, you know. Another thing we're dealing with is the Telecommunications Act of 1996, which basically consolidated the media. Before that, we had over 50 different owners of the mainstream media. Now it's down to, I believe, 5 families own pretty much everything. And that's not just nationally, but like locally. Like Sinclair owns a lot of news, and you'll see there's clips of just Sinclair news stations across the country saying word for word all their anchors the exact same thing, despite being in the Northeast, the Southwest, or you know, wherever. Another thing that was really bad is in the 80s, 60 Minutes hit #1 in the prime time, and that's kind of when they realized they can make money off this, and so it went from news to a profit. And then the worst one of all, and I try to explain this to people, is the Smith Modernization Act of 2012. And for those that don't know, we had the Smith Act of 1948, and what this did, it prevented propaganda to be used against the citizens. So the news, the government had to come out, and they couldn't legally propagandize us. Well, in 2012 in the NDAA, they did the Modernization Act, and they changed the wording, and it got rid of that. So now they can literally legally propagandize us and call it news. So that leads us to today, where, you know,
Fox.
yeah, all of them really. But you know, today, you know, a lot of people across the country, and we've seen it here in this city, like you all, me, and several others. You know, Matthew, Sherry Wright, Smoothview, and a few that I'm probably forgetting. But you know, we kind of did this ourselves because we're looking at this like,
George Smithers.
yeah, you know, what are these people doing? You know, they're not out here covering things at all. If they are, it's incorrectly. You know, they're misquoting people. So that got me out here. Talk about how you all feel about mainstream media nowadays, and you know, the difference between that and what we're doing.
I have a different. Go ahead. Did you want to go?
Yeah, I'll give the simple one because they're going to get into a whole long thing about it because they're way smarter about this than I am. I really don't like the way, I'm just going to give like the average person's response. I don't like the way it divides all of us. It seems like that's became very, very intentional. And it really doesn't matter what news you watch. It doesn't matter any of that. It's just they are purposely doing everything that they can to keep people separated and keep people divided in their own little boxes. And then you can't get anything done that way, you know? I mean, even if you like, I don't watch mainstream media that much except to like watch it to see what like all the crazy people are thinking. But I just really, for real, like, I mean, I'm like, wow, that's really what's in your brain right now? Because I mean, I have to deal with some of these people, and I want to know like, how can I try to understand them? Because I'm a very big person. I'm a big person on trying to understand even people I don't agree with, because you never can get to a solution if you can't understand what's going on. And the media is definitely playing a role in all of that. And that just really aggravates me because we're missing out on so much, and people are in their own little corners, and they're just pissed off about everything, and they really don't even know what they're pissed off about. But it's because Fox or CNN or whoever fed it down their throat. Because honestly, I don't believe like the right wing or the left wing. I don't give a shit about none of that. All the media sucks, except for live streamers. And now that's kind of where I watch all my stuff is live streamers, and then YouTube. Well, those two. But you know, I know I can. If I tune into his stuff, I know it's gonna be something good.
Stream,
you know what I mean? Like
footage
right.
that can't be denied.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so on that, you know, and again, you guys, they know all the technicology. They're teaching me how to do all this stuff. I just can pick a phone up and be like, how you doing? But yeah, that's something that it just drives me nuts, because people are, and I was talking about even today on my show on Hot Mess Express on YouTube. I was like, we got to stop this. We have to stop allowing, we have the government, and then we have, the media, and it just keeps everybody so pissed. And so that's something I don't like, but I'll let them give you guys the professional answers, because I'm just a hot mess.
Well, I want to do a shout out too to at least two of the major collectives that have been remarkable nationwide: Mercado and Unicorn Riot. Mercado Media, who Riot and I actually interviewed.
I watch them a lot.
I can shout out Concrete Media in Portland.
Yep.
I can shout
News
out
to Share, Ford Fisher.
Saul Luna from New York.
Yep.
Like, and tons of these people came here. I got arrested with Concrete. We were handcuffed together in the Sally Port down there. I didn't know he was independent media until we were handcuffed together and we started talking about it. But there's tons.
Yeah. And Unicorn Riot was a great one too. They really covered Standing Rock.
Yeah,
they did the best job on that.
Unicorn Riot's been doing this shit for a decade or more, 2 decades probably. Before the internet was even easily accessible for video, they were taking video and uploading it for people. I've been following Unicorn Riot for a very long time.
Me too, yeah.
And the thing that's cool about what Mercado did and Unicorn did as well, especially during the Chauvin trial, in George Floyd's death, which was just absolutely incredible and gripping. We all wanted to be watching that trial, and Mercado reinvented himself, as we all have, from being out with phones in the live environment to to a literal virtual set, which is cool to watch, because he's created a virtual set for Mercado Media to do these debriefs after each day of the trial, and really did. Hey, Chris Will.
I know, as I was waving.
There's one of my heroes right there. Give him a big wave.
It's Chris. He's one of our one of our organizers. He's I don't know if I should call him that, but yeah, I think he was.
He's a king.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just one.
Okay, he's one of he's an awesome guy, so we love him to death.
It's just amazing how many people took the live stream concept and turned it into something so much more, which is a lot of what we're doing too. I mean, because I've always done live streams with multiple microphones, multiple cameras, multiple guests. I was talking about the fact that I did judges interviews when we were having the judicial races a couple of years ago. I sat down the judge candidates who were running against each other and actually, had those amazing conversations to teach people what the judicial branch of government did, because people don't really know. And that was really eye-opening for a lot of people. So, I want to continue doing stuff like that. Riot and Summer and Maxwell and I particularly, because the four of us, I think, a little bit more flexible as far as our schedules go, have been able to carry a lot of things that many people would just miss if they didn't see it on our live streams, because they're not things necessarily that mainstream media would pick up on. But live streaming has changed the industry. It has changed the media industry for better and forever. And I think that we're going to continue to see the change occurring and the development of live stream media. And we don't want to be mainstream. We're not trying to be mainstream. We can emulate some of the things that they do that work. And God knows they've been emulating some of the things that we do that work, which is fantastic. And I'm glad that we have that cooperative effort. I still, because I spent 35 years in mainstream media, I still have a tremendous amount of faith in the people who are doing the work. And I want to shout out too to the Courier Journal staff, because man, those guys, and we highlighted them on a live stream.
Bailey Loothmore in particular.
Yeah,
they've
she's
done
out a lot.
Tremendous job, and Darcy and Tessa and Hayes and Michael. I mean, they have all been out doing the work and covering the Breonna Taylor story like no other outlet, and they should have gotten that Pulitzer. That's all I can say. But
FPL does some good
and
work
FPL,
too.
Ryan, I mean, all those guys have just done a fabulous job. And I want to just say that I'm watching the skies, and it looks like we've got a storm getting ready to come. So I just want us to be aware of that.
We're pretty close to the end.
Yeah,
so,
I want to be aware of that. But I want to thank you for the hard work that you've done, because you've been out from the very beginning, day and night, night and day, day after day. And, everybody's had an opportunity to determine how they wanted to approach live streaming. What do you identify yourself as? Lots of live streaming protesters. I'm a journalist, and I've been a journalist from the beginning. And the thing that I really respect about the fact that I've been down here amongst all the protesters is that nobody has ever impugned me for saying I'm a journalist. I have a tremendous amount of love and faith and heart for the people who are protesting, as I do for every voice that I amplify and uplift. And I really respect the fact that I was welcomed and invited into this coverage, not as a protesting live streamer or a live streaming protester, but as an actual journalist live streamer. So it's been a huge growing experience for me. I'm glad that I've been able to amplify these voices, and I want more people who look like me to understand what people who have been out protesting are actually thinking, living, like, and feeling. And I feel like the live streaming medium has been a great way to do that.
With the clouds coming up, I just have 2 quick questions for
Yes.
y'all. First,
Real quick.
yes.
What ruined mainstream media is the 24-hour news cycle. And what I mean by that is 2 things. A, the fact that news only lasts for 24 hours anymore, and the fact that news lasts for 24 hours consecutively.
Yeah.
So everything's breaking news now. There's not anything that you follow up on and you continue with. And further than that, it keeps everyone wanting to shit their pants 24 hours a day. It's not great for mental health. It's not good. And that all happened after 9/11, same time that we militarized our police force.
That's it.
Can I do one thing? Can I just throw this handsome king in here for a second in the middle
Sure.
of our
Come here,
502
Chris.
live
Absolutely.
streamer interview? Because of the fact that, hi,
Oh, and look what shirt you have on.
look at you. You
Come
don't
on.
even
It's a Hawaiian
blue.
shirt.
Feeling a little bit festive, you know.
So
Hey,
I
Chris,
think
welcome to the live stream.
I think the
He's
reason
not
I
about
wanted
that.
him to come in is because he was one of the first who welcomed me to the square and always let me ask my white girl questions and answer them honestly.
Honestly.
And I love that about Chris Will, because a lot of people would not have done that. They would have said, shut up, go somewhere and learn something. I had to learn it on the job. I had to learn it at the moment. So why don't you ask Chris Will what he thinks about live streamers and what his experience has been with us?
Yeah, basically what she said.
All right. Cute. So live streaming, it definitely from, I would say, from the start when we realized that live streaming was when we started seeing the news. We really can't blame the news, because I mean that's what their business is, headlines, stories. But sometimes they'll come out here and they're so nice. They'll be like, just tell us something. You'll think like, oh, I gave a great interview, and then they'll take something and spin it, like 10 seconds of like a 3-minute interview, and then spin it.
Right.
And the thing about live streaming is continuous. So if you mess up, you cuss, you blink, somebody throws something on you, a bird poop on your shoulder, it's on there, it's not going anywhere, it's not getting edited out. And the things that were happening that were key for live streamers to be, especially in the movement, we definitely needed a continuous stream and multiple people doing continuous streams, and then the forming of the Avengers.
Yes.
Happened of live streamers, you know what I'm saying? So, and then it was some lessons learned. Really, all of us was out here learning on the go. Like it wasn't like, no, hey, this is the protest handbook on page 33. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it was like reaction. Emotional. Then we started, toward the end, it got a little bit more structured. But like in the beginning, I think the key thing was just capturing and make sure that we were protecting ourselves, because we were getting painted in such a bad light, and like we would be here, like this surrounding area. If you can just pan a little bit, like this whole area, thousands of people, and not went anywhere, and something happened like on the other side of town, and they were like, it was the protesters, looters and rioters.
No, we were
I'm
all
like,
out here
we
we
were
are
really
every
just
day.
like really right
And we were
down
on
here
camera, by the way. Just look at our live
by the
streams.
police station.
Right.
Basically, really right there. I don't even think people understand how gangster the protest
do a
was,
little,
because the
like a
police
show.
is right
The
there.
police-
Like
Joe
we
right
was
there,
really
the-
at they line. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if that was a house, we're in their front yard.
Corrections,
Like, yo, what up?
courthouse,
Yeah.
police station.
Mayor, sheriff.
Federal
just
building.
surrounded
You
by
know
the
what I'm saying?
government.
Like, we was
Everything
right
around
here.
us.
So
The seat of government.
the live streamers definitely were I definitely can say the backbone of the movement, because amplifying voices that probably would not get heard. The news usually picks people that they think can voice under their standards. Sometimes you gotta cuss. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know.
Sometimes you gotta make your fucking point.
Yeah, sometimes, just like that. Yeah, didn't even have to.
We're not worried about the FCC over here, so.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think everybody can be appreciative to live streamers. And know some people didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You know, nothing's perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly can say genuinely, their whole team has done their absolute damn best to raise the awareness of everything that happened from then and now and outside of here. People need to understand that the live streamers live stream outside of the movement too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just if you can just you can just follow their personal pages and you will see like they tackle other agendas, other things that happen across the city. So definitely want to give them their roses.
God bless
You get a rose. You get a rose. You get a rose. Everyone gets a rose.
I want a damn sunflower.
Look under your chair.
You know,
We had some big ones and
I know
then they
we
took
did.
them down. They was
We had
huge.
huge
It's probably the
ones.
biggest
That's
sunflowers
why I
I've
said
seen in my
that. They were
life.
beautiful.
I got 2 packets of the seeds from those.
I do too. I have
sunflowers.
1 pack.
thanks to
Yo, I
Bear
need
Grass
put
Thunder
like
at
3
Brianna's
down
Roots.
in each one.
Yeah, we had sunflowers in our front yard that came from here. So
Yeah, they're
I think one thing we need to remember before we end, Rolf, is you know, there are people who did not survive to do these interviews, and those are the ones who we want to commemorate, and the ones that we want to celebrate, and the ones we want to mourn. The first and foremost of which is Breonna Taylor.
Exactly.
That was the reason that we all came here. She was the reason that the world went on fire last year. And there were other names, and those names will be said again and again. But you know, to us, the reason for being for a very long time has been Breonna Taylor, and dedicating the lives that we all know to justice for her, which has still not been served. And then we also have to remember Yaya, David McAtee, certainly Chris Smith, Chris Rock, who live streamed David's death and later died. Tyler Girth, an amazing photographer who documented the protests and was shot and killed right here at the square, 50 feet away from where we're sitting. And our young king, Travis Najdi,
keep going.
who will be memorialized forever in our hearts as a 20-year-old curly-haired, helicopter-winged,
Walking megaphone.
amazing man, and who we all love and miss
Chance the
so very
Rapper.
much.
Chance the Rapper. That's right.
Very powerful words, Tara.
Definitely.
Appreciate that.
And I think that's something a lot of people don't realize here on Louisville. You know, we did lose a lot of people. We lost a lot of people, and it definitely started with Breonna, and you know, and we became a family. So like when we took these hits, you know, it was hard, but we kept going. You know, we kept going, and we keep going because that's what I feel like. That's what Breonna would want us to do. Yaya would want us to do. Chris would want us to do. Travis. Every single person that we lost, you know, I just feel like that's what they, and I know that's what they would want us to do, because that was their message as well, and that we all live by, and most of us have tattooed on us, keep going, you know. And so I don't know, man, it's just it's a different experience, and it was life-changing for a lot of us, and I got so many brothers now that have my back, and sisters, and just we're family, you know. That's I can't speak on other cities, but I can say here on Louisville, we definitely grew into a huge family, which, you know, sometimes had dysfunctions and sometimes had great times, and so, you know, but we did it, and we're still doing it, and we're not going anywhere, you know, and we're going to be on their toes until things change here. And I think live streaming is going to definitely, and has played a part in that, you know what I mean? Because we got the Metro stuff, hell, even LMP's live streaming now, so like, you know.
And they definitely did that because of us.
Yes.
I vividly remember.
Yes.
And they deleted the video.
We were like,
What
They
in the
deleted
hell?
the video. You remember? I think it was Angry Viking or whatever his name was. Okay, they came down here,
Hey.
pressed the protesters, was trying to act super tough. I caught him down there at the end, tried to fight him. He didn't want to fight, but that was messed up. So the police had it barricaded off. I think it was the 3%ers or something.
No, it was wasn't it the Nulu BLM takeover when they set
Occupy
up the
Lulu.
yeah when they
That's
set
where
up
I
the
first
dining
saw
room
them.
table.
Yeah.
That was the day I think we first saw the LMPD
came
live
out there.
streamers.
But it wasn't even like a beat cop or like somebody that like take notes at the desk and passes papers. It was like a major, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like it was a major. It was literally Major Humphreys.
Yes,
He was right
it was
here,
Major
and they had it barricaded to make it look like the 3%ers and us were at war, and we were all over here cooking and doing what we do, and they're down there barricaded with guns and everything, and I go down there literally dressed like, you know what I'm saying, Assassin's Creed. I go over there and I'm like, yo, is it a problem? Because, you know what I'm saying, it's whatever, you know? And they was like, no, it ain't no problem. We here to protect y'all. And I was like, well, if y'all protecting us, why y'all barricaded over here? So they go to like put their arms down, walk over there with us. The police comes out of nowhere. Major Humphreys like this. And he was like, if they go over there, we're going to lock all of them up for inciting a riot. So they were painting the picture like we were at war down here. And I'm like, bro, we don't even know them, like, at all. They was people come down to protest. We don't even know them. Never had a problem with them. You know what I'm saying? Probably took one of their parking spots at Walmart before. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody ever seen, like, these people that was coming down here to protest, like, probably never have interacted with none of us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think, and like I said, live streaming, that it was,
Yeah.
hello, we got you.
It brought the protest right to your people's living rooms.
Literally.
So many people. I mean, I remember we had a young lady come up and she was from the Hollers, and she was like, "You remember that? Oh my goodness." Yeah. But Michelle, yeah, she came and she was just like, she's like, you know, where I'm at, everybody's racist. You know, and I still have a relationship with her, and we still talk.
too.
And she's like, yeah, and she's always telling me, she's like, you know, she goes, you know what I did different this time is I'm not putting up with this stuff. You know, I told people, I've had people leave my house, I've left places. She goes, where she's at, it's just engulfed with racism. So when she came up here, I mean, she was like, it was a deer in the headlights. You know what I mean? She just loved it. Like she got to know Chris, she got to know everybody. Like, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see so many. It brought so many great people, but then occasionally it brought you, you know. And we dealt with them.
The
you know?
few.
So, you know.
So I want to wrap it up with this last question. For anybody that's watching this that's maybe considering being a live streamer, getting into independent media, do you all have any advice for them on how to get started?
Holler at us.
Pick your phone up.
We'll
and
take
push
you out.
You definitely need relationships.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
intern you.
Because you know that each one of them, and I actually do camera work for a living, but I haven't live streamed. I regret that. But each one of them has different resources that the other one might not have, but that doesn't mean each one of their resources is not as strong as the other ones.
Right.
So having these relationships, and especially in the camera world period, helps you a long way. They can let you know what gimbal to use, what camera to use, what angle to shoot in, what shutter speed, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, these things you need to know, battery pack setups, whatever. Definitely reach out to them. That'd be the
Lessons
best
I'm
thing I
still
say.
learning.
Exactly.
I just talked to him. I was like, because I just started a podcast on YouTube, and I'm like, hey, I need you to help me do some like graphic stuff. I was like, because I learned how to do StreamYard. That was a miracle.
That's great.
It does. It looks really good. But yeah, I mean, even right now, like I forgot my mic, so you know we'd help each other with equipment. They've taught me how to. Remember when we had my first gimbal?
Yes.
Lessons. We had the first gimbal lesson. Oh, that was hilarious.
That was after
Jason-
we did the radio show.
Yep, after the radio show. You know, I don't know, man.
You know, one of the things that I think is important to answer your question, because we haven't answered any of your questions, we
I
just
know,
keep
my
making
bad.
up our own questions, but
all
nonetheless,
good.
is developing relationships not only with people who know about live streaming, but developing relationships, period.
Yeah.
Knowing who to reach out to, you know, relationships within your city, within
Knowing who to reach out to and letting everyone else know that they can reach out to you.
yeah.
Well, when we had
Yeah.
we had a live streamer, and I won't mention
Right,
their name, but we had a live streamer go to another state, and you know, and at first she was like, I don't know, but then a couple of us were able to make phone calls and get the other live streamers around that person, and you know, and same thing here. Other live streamers reached out to us, but it's very important. Don't go in with this like, I know everything and I got this, you know, like get to know people. It's definitely building. You cannot be a live streamer without building relationships, you know, and I think that's the perk of being a live streamer, because it gives you that opportunity to kind of put that phone there and be like, hey, you know, let me talk to you. Be humble. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to mess up a lot. Your feeds are going to drop all the time. You're going to be doing important stuff. Just keep up and keep going like nothing even happened. You know, I mean, interviewing one of our people that are going to be running for mayor, Miss Shamika. You know, my camera went down, but I just started it right back up. I mean, that happens all the time. You know, be patient, humble, and ask lots of questions.
And learn, read,
yeah.
listen to other news, listen to other live streamers, pay attention, and be a good listener. Because we've been talking a whole lot, but during the course of the work that we do, you know, I listen more than anything, and that's what I learned so much just from listening to Chris, you know, and listening to the folks from dinner. And I would never contradict Chris under any circumstances, but I am going to contradict him under this when he said 502 live streamers were the backbone of the movement. The protesters were the backbone of the movement. We may have been the glue that helped stick it all together, but, you know, the bodies that came out here day after day after day were the absolute backbone of the movement. And I have such respect and such tremendous gratitude that I was able to document that part of history.
Yeah, I feel like the live streamers were kind of like the megaphone for the movement more than anything.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's like the first thing Summer said when you asked that question, which I'm not sure that anybody heard, was just pick up your phone and go live.
Yeah.
Like, that's really how simple it is. That's how we found ourselves in the positions that we were in. Pick up your phone, go live anytime you see something that's wrong. You know, anytime you see a cop stop anybody, go live. Record them. Make them uncomfortable. Make them know that they're being watched, you know? Aside from that, it's just kind of a crash course from there, you know? But the one bit of advice that I would definitely give is film in horizontal. Film in landscape mode.
I'm learning that.
All right? It gives a wider frame. You can see more, especially if you're out live streaming something as important as like a protest. You want that wider frame so you can see as much as possible. So yeah, please, live stream, landscape, horizontal, long ways.
I appreciate that, because when I started, I was told to do the other thing, and I was doing it and was like, no, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. It's landscape. So yeah, good call on that.
Your work is great, Rolf. Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
You do a lot of in-depth reporting, and you take time and you really explore your topics, and I always enjoy watching your live stream, so thank you.
And you don't mind if like other people just take over your
you don't mind if other crazy people just take over your live stream.
You're like, just go with it.
Hey, that's it. You know, sometimes that's all it's about, is, you know, holding the cameras. You never know what's going to happen. Just keep rolling.
And speaking of
and it's usually going to end up better than what you planned anyways, most of the time.
Speaking of moving from protest to policy, it's fascinating that you have moved into the work that you're doing now, so we're really proud of you for doing that too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I just try to get in where I can fit in, I guess. So.
Awesome. No, that's right. Awesome.
You know, so let's just wrap this up. Let people know how to follow you individually and as a page. I'll start with you, Jarrett.
If you just go to rightheart.com, it will get you to all of the many platforms that we utilize. So just go to rightheart.com and all the information's there.
All right, Summer.
You can follow me on Summer Dickerson on Facebook. You can also follow, I have a public page and a private page, but both of them are open. And then you can also follow my new podcast on YouTube. It's Hot Mess Real Talk with Summer Dickerson. And yeah, I'm always live doing everything.
I've got 5 or 6 Facebook platforms, from Tara Bassett, Take It From Tara Bassett Live, Puppy Pack Adventures, and then of course the 502 live streamers. I've also got Tara Bassett Live on Instagram, Take It From Tara on Twitter, and Tara Bassett Live on YouTube, which is building. And like Summers and my YouTube pages, because we've got to get to 1,000 viewers in order to go live on our phones. So please go and subscribe to our YouTubes, because we can only do desktop publishing right now.
Well, yeah, because Facebook is like being weird. They're like trying to stop us from doing what we're doing. But on YouTube, you know, you can, and you have, like she said, you gotta have 1,000 subscribers. So I'm at 349. Come on.
There you go. Yeah, I'm about there too.
Censorships and YouTube censorships. That's a whole big topic for another day. We don't have time for it.
Maxwell Mitchell, obviously, you know, Maxwell Mitchell's got his pages. I know that Shay K has her pages. I don't think Jason's really doing a lot of live streaming, but you can always go back and renew last year's excitement, because I share my memories as they come up every day, and there's a lot of Jason on those. You know, John Cherry, of course, watch all of his stuff, John Cherry Photography, and Antonio T-Made Taylor, who has a new thing with iHeartMedia, so he's going to be doing Real Talk with T-Made on iHeartMedia.
And T-Made's also got Hip Hop Into Learning, which is the nonprofit that he and his partner run. And the real young prodigies do a lot of stuff through that.
Yep.
Shay K's got Shay Shay Media. Maxwell, like you said, has got, I think, 2 different personal pages. He's also got like Maxwell Sounds and Sounds of the Week, I think. Yeah, I mean, you know, John Cherry, you can just, I think it's just Cherry Photography. Cherry Tree?
It's John Cherry Photography.
Is it now John
on
Cherry
Facebook,
Photography?
yeah.
John Cherry Photography
Yeah.
on Facebook.
He's really famous.
So, yeah, we all got platforms. They're all out there. And if you go to the 502 Livestreamers website, is still up, maybe for a limited time. We'll see. But it is still up. You can go to 502livestreamers.live and then click on the crew, and it'll list all of us. You click on our face, and it'll take you to our platforms. So.
And send press releases if you want us to cover your events, because those can go to Facebook or the 502livestreamers.live page. Thanks, Rolf.
Shout out to John and Shay and Antonio and Jason as well. So maybe another day with you guys. That is a loud car. All right, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate y'all's work. I try to watch all of y'all as much as I can. I try to rotate because I see your all's lives come up, and it's like, well, watch Tara yesterday, I'm gonna watch Jared today, watch Summer tomorrow, you know. So, but yeah, you all do amazing work, and you're doing big things for the city, and I'm anxious to see your all's work in the future as well. And anytime you all want to work together, let's do it.
Us to you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And thanks so much.
Woo woo! Good job, guys.
Freeway, hit the motherfucking freeway.
Hey, freeway.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. That's 502 Live Streamers, Tara Bassett, Jared Riot, and Summer Dickerson. Maxwell Mitchell was here earlier too. He had to go. He had a prior engagement, but appreciate him sticking around as long as he could. So yeah, you know, if you want to keep up with what's going on in town, what's on the ground, follow them, follow me. Chances are, you know, we will have you covered. So yeah, smash all those appropriate buttons, like, follow, all those things, share, comment. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'm on Odyssey now. Independent, nonprofit. I don't make a penny off this. I'm just out here being a megaphone for you guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, and remember, always think critically.